Food in the Middle Ages was nothing like the feasts you imagine from movies. Most of it was bland, repetitive, and sometimes barely edible. From smoky kitchens to muddy markets, eating was a daily struggle, and for many, every meal was a reminder of survival. So why exactly did food suck in medieval times? Let's find out. From bread that could break your teeth, to feasts that dazzled the nobility while peasants scraped by, we'll uncover the tastes, textures, and traditions that defined eating in the Middle Ages. So imagine yourself at a long wooden table, a candle flickering nearby, the smell of damp straw beneath your feet, and a rough bowl of pottage in your hands. This was dinner for most of medieval Europe. Let's find out why. Daily life immersion. For the average medieval person, food wasn't about pleasure. It was about survival. Imagine the rhythm of a peasant's life. Dawn to dusk in the fields, bent over soil thick with moisture, the seasons dictating every meal. Bread was the foundation of the diet, but not the fluffy loaves you picture today. This was maslin bread, a heavy, coarse mixture of wheat, rye, and sometimes whatever grains were available. The crust was hard, the interior dense. It filled the stomach, but offered little joy. Alongside the bread came potega, thin, endlessly simmered stew of grains and vegetables. On good days, a handful of onions, leeks, or peas. On bad days, it was little more than watery oats. Meat was rare. The flavor was mild at best, monotonous at worst. Imagine eating a variation of the same stew every single day for most of your life. That was reality. Seasonings. Salt was precious. Spices like cinnamon or pepper were luxuries, locked away in noble kitchens. A peasant's food was bland, often sour, and sometimes spoiled. The rhythm of their meals was a constant reminder. Food was fuel, not indulgence. Biography. Event. To understand medieval food better, let's follow the life of one figure. William Marshall, a knight of the 12th century, often remembered as the greatest knight. His life illustrates the stark difference between noble dining and common fare. As a boy of low birth but high ambition, William's early meals resembled those of any squire. Plain bread, thin broth, and occasional scraps of meat. But as he rose through the ranks serving kings, winning tournaments, securing a status' table, transformed. Picture the great hall of a castle. Long trestle tables lined with trenchers, flat slabs of stale bread used as plates. Before William would come roasted meats, spiced sauces, fish on holy days, and jugs of ale. Sweet pastries colored with saffron, and extravagant displays like peacocks served in their feathers. For the nobility, food became theater. Part noticement, performance of wealth and power. Yet, even for William Marshall, food could suck by our standards. Preservation was rudimentary. Salted fish was often overpoweringly salty. Roasted meats, cooked over open flames, could be charred outside and raw within. Hygiene was questionable, knives and cups shared, hands wiped on tablecloths, or simply on one's tunic. For all its spectacle, the medieval feast was far from refined. Mystery. Archaeology. Culture. Archaeology adds another layer to this story. Excavations of medieval towns and castles reveal the physical traces of diet. Broken pottery, charred bread loaves, fish bones discarded in heaps. One of the most fascinating finds comes from medieval London, where preserved latrine pits tell us exactly what people ate. Seeds of barley, rye, and peas. Fragments of apple and plum. Even evidence of parasites that spread through undercooked meat or unwashed vegetables. These remains tell a story of diets heavy on grain, low on variety, and often compromised by contamination. We also uncover cultural mysteries. Sumptuary laws, regulations that dictated what people of different classes could eat. In some kingdoms, only nobles could consume swan or venison, while common folk were restricted to pork or chicken. These laws reinforced hierarchy through the dinner table itself. And then there were fasting days. The medieval church mandated over 100 days a year when meat was forbidden. Fish became the substitute, but inland villages had little access to fresh fish, so salted herring or dried codifon tough. Often rancid was the only option. Imagine chewing endlessly on leathery fish, day after day. This was not a culinary delight, it was obligation. Social, elite. Contrasting daily life. At the very top of society, food was not just nourishment or duty, it was a spectacle of power. Kings and queens staged feasts that dazzled their guests. Roasted boars' heads adorned with apples, sugar sculptures molded into castles, whole animals stuffed inside one another in elaborate displays. But remember, sugar, in the medieval world, was not everyday sweetness. It was a costly import, used sparingly. Most foods were far less sweet than modern palates expect. Even elite dishes leaned heavily on spices, not to cover up rot, as some myths claim, but to showcase wealth. A pinch of saffron or pepper was proof of status, a symbol as much as a flavor. For the poor watching such extravagance from afar, food remained the same dull pot. This contrast between bland necessity and performative luxury defined medieval dining. The rhythm of their lives was bound to the table, whether sparse or overflowing, and in every case, food often left much to be desired.